We're really excited to be here today at AllSeating in Mississauga. I'm here with Paul. AllSeating has been in business for over 40 years. They do seating solutions, sell products right across North America, and really is just one of those great companies that we have here in the province of Ontario. I'm here to talk to Paul today, who's been with the company for a couple of years now, has an incredible story, and I just want to say thanks, Paul, for sharing your story. You've inspired me, you've inspired our team, our government to do more on what we're about to talk about, but also you are inspiring many people across Ontario. And once we show off this video to more people, you're going to inspire even more. So thanks for doing this today. So I wondered, Paul, if you could just share a bit of about yourself. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Born in Mississauga, going on 41 years now, but I was born in the hospital of, which is now called the Trillium, but it was once Mississauga Hospital, 5 in the morning.
Amazing. So you grew up your entire life here in Mississauga?
Well, I lived in Mississauga primarily my entire life. I did move to Oshawa for a bit when I was working for Loblaws. I opened up one of their stores out that way. Here, it's kindness, it's more friendliness, it's home.
Amazing. I want to talk about your pathway into getting a job here at AllSeating. What a great company here, great people. And you can just tell when you walk in the doors just how welcoming this company is and the people. But I just wondered if you could share a bit about your pathway into the job here, maybe some of the challenges that you faced growing up and kind of before you got here.
Well, coming into this job, like it was kind of rough in the beginning. I moved from food service, which was not like this grocery store. I was doing baking. I have done chef work, sous chef, and so coming into an environment where it's completely dirty and it's more like just physically on I had to do. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but people were patient. I was applying when they would explain something. I'd apply to a food logic, explaining why if a metal is not settling properly or it's not sitting, it sometimes can ferment and separate, or separate such like that. Just connecting the job to something I was familiar with foods, and then within a few months they were noticing when I was finished my foster, I was a little slow. I would be out helping Kobe, or I would out be sleeping or cleaning, or just in a sense trying to learn a little more about my job. I would talk to the builders. Like when I first met them, they were not scary, but they were a little intense because they're used to work. Now someone stop and ask them a question, all of a sudden he's listening, he's repeating, he's not, it's just actually the experience that they got more calmer now with me. Like even Wilson, I gotta say, if you met him for the first time to now, it's like, I think he likes the fact that everything he passes on is not a constant repeat. It's like he listens, he takes it in, and I've had fun just kind of learning a new job. Right.
So you were in the food services business,
Yeah.
and then what happened after that?
I went from food service. I was with my mom for the year, and then she passed away at the end of the year, and then try not to cry. I'll just say someone was horrible to me, and then it was just pretty much kind of a
Spiral?
I would say a spiral, but I could tell you I slept in different parts of the city, that places that you would not imagine. But in the end, when I finally ended up over in the shelter after being directed from animal shelter, I made the choice I had to leave Pluto somewhere because I couldn't drag him around everywhere with me. So I went there. They dropped me. They put me over to the outreach, which then they put me into a proper shelter. Then they got us together, which I was jumping for joy outside when they got the phone call. I can go pick them up.
So how many years ago did you lose your father and your mom? Was it all in the same kind of time frame?
Well, actually, it kind of goes like dad was before mom, then that year, then pandemic, and then like that, pretty much a domino effect. Because if you look at it all in one giant effect, it was grandmother from Alzheimer's, grandfather from broken heart, Gus from old age, then dad, then mom.
So you were working in food services, lost obviously people that were very, very important to you in your life, family members. And then would you say that sort of triggered a spiral effect and some challenges?
I think that was setting me into a spiral, but it's more the person after they referred to me as a baby, that they would not have assisted me, they would not help me, I could not come over, I could not call them, and to not ever make a contact unless they make contact after they seek a therapist. That kind of made the.
So were you living in shelters in the city?
For 1 year after I finally lost my home, because when the second pandemic had lifted, I had everything had gone swish-wash with the financial, because I didn't know she was stealing from me at the same time. And like I say, I didn't realize I was being robbed for a lot of things at the time, because I was passed over. I didn't mean, like I say, you could have taken anything off me, as long as you talked to me. It's like, it's funny that with people that they don't really need a reason to say hello to someone, but with a dog who's very friendly and polite, people seem to open up more to want to talk to me just to play with him.
I know the feeling. I'm a dog owner myself. So.
I say huskies are they're quite intelligent to the point that if you try different things, like I don't just yank or left this, I say left or right, and
Can he jump?
He can jump like a gazelle.
So can you talk about some of the services that the agency through Employment Ontario helped you with? Do they help you write resumes or do practice interviews, things like that?
They did offer practice interviews. They do offer lunch services, transportation services. I don't know if the phone option was one, or he was just doing it just so I have a phone so he keep in connection. But he did mention a few of the services. But at the same time, the shelter also provided some. So I was using transportation. I didn't need at first, and food I did take advantage because I get my budget going for lunch. But I just kind of went with I just really wanted to get back to the work.
But you find that they were very helpful, polite, customer service focused?
Oh yeah, no, it was different when I first went over to the Salvation Army. Like they started off, but the person I was dealing with apparently was being fired, so she couldn't give two hoots. And then when I dealt with the second one, he laughed in my face because I didn't know she got fired. She thought she was getting promoted. I guess it was outreach. It was the blunt truth, but it was more of a polite blunt truth, followed with, as long as you don't give up, we don't give up.
That's great. Did you find that the Employment Ontario services basically were removing barriers or trying to help you find meaningful employment?
With them doing the open introductions, I found it was much nice and easier, because I find when people read something and then they meet me and they look at this, I know I hear the words, because my friend Keegan said to me once how I make a resume looks like a giant child did it. So when he does something, he helped me with the resume, but everyone knew right up the back that I did have this. But with him there, it didn't get the usual, or the feeling I was making a joke, because when I met them on the floor, they knew, so they talked, we all openly, it's like, and then I would reply with asking questions about how this worked, how that worked, and no one really said I took to the job, because he said it felt like I've been working here for years.
So you went through some of these services. Did they connect you with AllSeating? Like, how did that connection happen?
Mike is the gentleman who helped me get the job. So he did the introductions, and then I had to do the thing. And Norman, like he was like saying when he first met me, he goes by with a resume, but he wants to see how a person is going to take to the floor, because you don't want an employee who's going to wander around. So when they made the introductions, and everyone was very open and comfortable, and says, I didn't work outside the boundaries, but I worked just on the edge of what I was supposed to do, and then I just took on a little more of this and a little more of this.
That's once you got here. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Like basically, it was more of a slow start to things, because in the beginning it was a little bit of a rough, because I was going through a bit of emotional up and down, so my attendance was not always as perfect. But after the first few months, it was like, and then a full year, and now 2 years going on.
That's amazing. Now you're a veteran here. You have any training for the job here at AllSeating prior to coming, or did you do all of your training when you started here?
Well, the training was started here. The only thing I did as a pre-prep for it is I did a dry run on a bus. Like, my dad always said, do a dry run before you come into work to get familiar with the traffic in the morning and in the evening, anything like that. But beyond training, it was just more when I got here, and it was more hands-on, because you can tell a person over and over again, but you can tell them once and they have to physically do it, and that's how they cut through the training. And I've always been a person who learns better when I'm feeling something, like the feel of fabric. Like if it's too loose on this side, or you got pudgy cheeks on this side, you can feel better versus you can't really see it, right?
What are some of the things you're doing here now?
Well, say I do the shaving of the hospital chairs, recliners, sleepers, foster line lounges from patient back chairs, the standard guest chairs, the triples, the doubles, to even the one I refer to as the oddballs, which is the 24 one. And then there's the lounge furniture, the new root chair.
So you're building a lot of the products that you're selling.
Well, it's nice to know it too, because especially since I got two chairs, one yesterday, one today. It's more nice that when I take this stuff home, I can know how to fix it and put it back together. And I'm looking forward to having an experience where someone needs a piece of furniture fixed or something.
What's your favorite thing about working here?
Um, well, I like the fact that I've learned a lot more of the different jobs, but I like the fact that with all the different scrap materials we recycle, we put here, put there, I like to take it home and make things from it. It's nice to have like a treasure trove of different things you can build.
And what about the people, your coworkers?
Well, actually, they're all pretty good people. I mean, like if you were here last my birthday, you would have been here for the first and only time that an entire company said happy birthday to me.
That's
One
amazing.
by one, it was like happy birthday, Paul, happy birthday. I was like what?
How did that make you feel?
Very happy because unfortunately, like I say, it was the very first time I've ever had that many people in a company.
So have you felt over the last couple of years that you've been given more and more responsibility and doing more and more tasks?
That is for sure. Because more recently too is taking over my section. I've been training and helping with the foster furniture, but then also doing an oversight with the guys and checking for scratches and checking
Like
for
quality control.
Oh yeah, just to make sure that the way the new guys understand that it's not like it's going to be slow and boring, but if you all do it that way, we can get out of here on time. We clean this place up, and like I said, when you see the floor, that's how it looks all the time.
What does your workday look like? What time do you start and what time do you end?
7:30, usually end by 4 o'clock. Unless it's a low production week, then we usually have half day or something, but that's once in a
And do you
while.
work full time?
Full time, yeah.
That's incredible. Can you just tell me a bit about, you know, 5 years ago versus where you're at today, for example? Like, how much has your life changed, and how much better off are you because of the supports you've received in finding a meaningful job with a great company?
Well, that's kind of I was saying to the HRs, if you had ever met me the first few years of my life, I never talked 10. Second 10, only talked when someone talked to me. And the third 10, I basically only talked once in a while. And then when everything hit, it's more that 5 years ago, I was more of a person who, if I encountered something scary, I would have probably walked and kept walking. But now I'm a person who, when I was like, say, riding a bus and I felt the urge to shoot up and tell a person not to attack a person, it's like, I feel more confident than I do now than I did then. And it's sad to say it's through all the transition and up and down, but with the support I got, I can truly say that did help, because without something there to help you pull you back out of a dark spot, you can end up.
So you would say your life has totally transformed, improved by having the opportunity to come here?
Well, coming here too, and with all the support, like I want to be able to help. That's why when the video option came up the first time, like I can honestly, if I ever won the lottery, I rolled around my head 100 times where I would disperse it and how I would disperse it. But it's just feeling you can do something versus when you try to say a positive thing and people are like, don't bother, don't ever bother, just stick to your work.
I think one of the greatest things I get to see as well, not only lives like yours transform and change and improve, but also seeing the great companies out there like AllSeating, who's really helping lift people up, giving people second chances. What would you say to the people of AllSeating, who obviously have played a huge role in your life?
I would go with something clever, but right now I'm kind of in the brinks of a shiver. So I was to say thank you. Because unfortunately, right now, if I talk for a consistent amount, since, like I said, I didn't talk a lot, I don't seem to have the fire in the belly, so I will start shivering. It's funny when you see me in the middle of a hot summer, I'm just going. Ugh.
I think thank you is all you need to say. Yeah, great company, great people, and we need more AllSeatings across Ontario to do this.
And hearing people being sad in one place but not wanting to do anything with their lives, and then going to a shelter where you hear dogs trapped and crying like you could not believe. Like I say, stuck between that form of sadness, you have a choice of either making it or end up with those guys in the shelter and just do the stupidest things. I mean, honestly, some of those guys were just so screwed up that when they were on something, the way they acted disabled or like a child, it makes you sad. But it's like you just made that choice to be, versus make a choice to get out of this position. Because there were guys that looked like they were in their early 20s versus guys who were in their 80s. They were telling them not to do it, and guys in the middle not to give a crap.
I mean, one of the things I talk about all the time is we need more people living purpose-driven lives. When you live with purpose, you can achieve anything. Thank you for everything. Thanks for sharing that story. That's incredible.